Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio on Moonstruck TV. You're here with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast in Australia. I know it's been a very, very sad week with the news that came in yesterday from Manchester, and our hearts do go out to the families and everybody that's been affected by that. And we all have been affected by this because it's the innocence of young children and young people going out and enjoying themselves and going to a concert, the things that we should be able to take for granted and should be able to do safely. So it's with that I'd like to sort of say, can we all hold hands around the world and send our loving, healing prayers to everybody in Manchester, everybody that's been affected by this terrible, terrible tragedy. So moving on from that, it's very interesting and I suppose in a sense very apt that this week's Simply Tarot card of the week that we have every week is the card of the Eight of Cups. Now, the Eight of Cups is an emotional card, but its basic meaning is money problems, and I don't believe that's the issue at the moment that this card is representing. But the secondary meaning is turning your back and walking away knowing nothing more can be done. And that's why I think it's a very, very apt card for this week, that if we all turn our backs on terrorism and knowing that maybe there was nothing more that we could have done to prevent this terrible tragedy, other than we all have to be more diligent. We all have to try and put this behind us in a positive way, but never, ever forgetting those that lost their lives. So this week's going to be a fairly interesting week on the astrological front because as those that have been tuning in weekly know that I quite often talk about either the full moon or the new moon. Well, we're heading up to another new moon, and this will be on the 26th of this month. So it's actually going to be a super full moon. So what that means is the power of the moon, of the new moon, is actually a little bit more powerful than normal. So we have to be very aware of working with the new moon and not against it. The new moon this month is actually in the sign of Gemini. So it's asking us to step out of our comfort zones. It's asking us to sort of do something different, be a bit flexible, allow ourselves to daydream, allow our thoughts to just wander. And maybe out of just that, allowing our mind to wander and daydream, we will get some aha moments, or we'll get some shots of brilliance where we sort of see, wow, this is the new direction that my life should be taking, or these are the things that I can start to try and work on now to improve my life and improve where I'm going. Life is a journey, and it's a journey of ups and downs and many, many roundabouts and many detours that we all experience. There's nobody I've met in my lifetime yet that could honestly say that they've had a charmed life. Everybody has a story. Everybody has sad things that happen to them in one way or another, but everybody has the capabilities of getting up and soldiering on. And that's what this new moon is asking us to do, because it's saying to us nothing is set in concrete. We have the ability to snap our fingers and make something different happen. We have the magic. We can create the moment of brilliance or genius with our thought patterns at where we might like to be taking our life, not just for the next month, but maybe really kickstart our 2017 into high gear now that we're sort of almost halfway through the year. So for most of us, you know, we sort of tend to sort of have these great intentions at the beginning of the year with our, you know, New Year's resolutions. And by the time we get to May, well, it's sort of there a long distance thing of the past. You know, what were those resolutions? Oh, yeah, well, we won't worry about those. Well, now maybe we can readjust that and look at, with the help of the super new moon in Gemini on the 26th, maybe we can reignite some passion into our dreams coming up for the remainder of this year. So for those of you that have been following our little astrological segment every week, we're up to the third part of the moon in your natal chart. Now, the moon is how we handle situations emotionally, and we all deal with emotions very, very differently from the person next to us. Just because your sun sign might be in a particular star sign, it does not mean that your moon is in the exact same sign. So even though your sun sign is your ego and how you present yourself to the world, the moon sign can be in a very, very different energy. And this is what starts to make the jigsaw of you complete, unique, and different. So this week we're working with the next three moon signs, which are Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. So Libra is the seventh sign of the zodiac. It's an air sign. It is a cardinal sign, but it's also known for the moon in Libra as bringing not only your emotions into balance, but trying to smooth the rough waters. It's a time where we want to sort of look at everything in a non-confrontational way. We try and bring balance. We try and bring communication to anything that may be troubling us on an emotional level. People with the moon in Libra are sometimes said to sort of want to shirk or avoid dealing with anything that's too hurtful or too painful on an emotional level. That may very well be the case. That may very well be how an outsider would view someone else's moon. But truly, it is a moon where they are trying to make sure that everything is as smooth as possible, not just for themselves on an emotional front, but everybody that's in the equation. So they are known as the people that try and mediate and calm things down and soothe ruffled feathers and try and calm emotional situations down so that we can all start to bring some balance into the situation and some joy, maybe even, sort of like if we calm everything down, then maybe we've got a better way of looking at things in a much more calm and realistic way of dealing with whatever the emotional crisis may be that's in your life. So they're actually a great person to have in your life if you've got a lot of drama, because they'll show you different ways of looking at and handling your emotions that are less confrontational. So these people don't like to be around noisy, boisterous people that are always trying to hurt someone else. They like to be around, creative people. They like to be around soothing people, musicians, things like that. So the next sign we're going to work with is Scorpio. Now, for those that have been watching over the recent weeks, you'll have heard me say this before. Scorpios do get a lot of bad press. It doesn't matter what planet we're talking about. If you put Scorpio in the equation, people automatically put up their walls. They sort of say, oh, here we go again, these very hard, ruthless sort of people that, have no emotion whatsoever. Well, that's not true. Scorpio is a fixed sign. It is a water sign. It is a sign of maybe not wearing their heart on their sleeve. And yes, Scorpios are anybody that has the moon in Scorpio in their natal chart, let me assure you, they don't necessarily have an easy journey this time on earth when it's anything connected with the emotions. Their emotions are going to be tested on many, many levels because their emotions are very, very deep, very penetrating. They also have to dig very, very deep into their emotional self to understand what triggers these emotions. For some of them, it can be very, very overwhelming. For some of them, it can manifest itself in jealousy, deceit, never trusting another person, finding it difficult to commit or to trust another human being. For those that start to evolve with the moon in Scorpio, once you harness its power, it can give you the most amazing depth of knowledge and wisdom, and particularly on an emotional front. It makes these people great to have in a crisis because they don't fall apart at the first sign of trouble. They are able to sort of strategize and really sort of give people constructive, solid advice on an emotional front. The trouble is for these poor souls that have the moon in Scorpio, they quite often spend the first half of their life trying to understand it, understanding why that their emotions are just so much more intense than everybody else around them. And they start to question whether they're doing something wrong. Instead of maybe if they explored astrology a little bit more and understood the power of this moon and wanted to work with it, maybe then they could make their lives a little bit easier, particularly in the first half of their life. I never see any planet in any sign as being a mistake. We are born with these placements as part of our journey and the jigsaw of you in this incarnation. So please, if you have the moon in Scorpio, don't race out and think, oh my goodness, my life's over. Look at it in a positive way and say, wow, I've got more coping mechanisms on an emotional front than the person standing next to me. Wow, that makes me somebody pretty special and pretty incredible. And I'm going to do something amazing with my life because I have the tenacity to handle anything on an emotional front. I'm great in a crisis. So let's turn it around to a positive. So our final sign that we're working with this week is the moon in Sagittarius. So the moon in Sagittarius, it's a mutable sign. It's also a fire sign. It's the 9th house, if we were to put it on a flat wheel. The moon in Sagittarius is a really relaxing sort of moon. It's like anything goes. You know, I'll let you be who you want to be. I won't sit in judgment. If that's okay with you, well, then it's okay with me. As long as you haven't trodden on my toes, it's live and let live time. So it's interesting that the way that they see things, that some people see them as really couldn't care less on an emotional front. And that's not exactly true because they do care. What they're trying to say to you is it's your journey, it's your life, these are your emotional issues. If you've got a problem and you want to discuss it, yes, I'm happy to sit here and talk about it, but hey, hang on a minute. I have to deal with my own emotions too. And at the moment, I have to sort of bounce it backwards and forwards in my own mind to see how I'm handling my own emotions. I try not to sit in judgment of anybody else. I try to be fair to everyone else. But at the same time, I don't want to get bogged down with all this weight of the world sort of stuff that, you know, yes, terrible things happen and terrible things happen in my life too if I have the moon in Sagittarius. But hey, I want to try and find something positive out of this and take my life into a more positive, upbeat sort of direction because there's always something new around the next corner. There's always an adventure to be looking forward to. So they do tend to seem as if they don't have any great ability to process emotions, but that's not really true. What they try and do is take a negative situation or a not so pleasant situation and look for the positive, look for the shining light out of the situation so that they can go forward. And that's great because that's what we need. We need some people that can have a positive slant on even the most negative or downtrodden situations in our lives. So for those of you that are new to the show, each week after the show, I do put up this little snapshot of the information that we've been working with in the first part of the show on my Facebook page, Amanda Hall Psychic. So you're more than welcome to join us there for that information. And we'll be continuing on next week with our final part in the moon in the chart, which will be the final signs of Capricorn, Aquarius and Pisces. So that will round up our 4-part series of the moon. So we look forward to that next week. So we're getting ready now to take our first caller, and we've got, oh, this is an interesting one. I might need to put my glasses on so I can pronounce it. It's Moniville in Town, Maryland, USA. What an interesting name. How can I help you?
Hi, it's Monielle.
Monielle, I beg your pardon, sweetie. I'm not very good at pronouncing names that are unfamiliar to me. What a lovely name.
Thank you. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very well, sweetie. How can I help you tonight?
I just would like some guidance. I feel like I've been having some difficulty connecting, and I've been just guided to not carry other people's burdens, but I'm really having difficulty figuring that out because I don't feel as though I do. So it's been a little confusing, if you will.
Okay, look, this is probably one of the number one questions I get asked as people start to open themselves up, Monielle, in their psychic development and things like that is, what am I responsible for? I feel the weight of the world on my shoulders, where I feel that, am I responsible to take on other people's responsibilities, other people's emotions, other people's issues, or is it selfish of me to say, hang on a minute, that's your issue and you can take it home with you? And the answer to that is, we are not put on this earth to take everybody else's burdens on board. Yes, we can be empathetic, we can be sympathetic, we can sit there and listen and be a good friend, or, you know, be a professional person that deals with people's emotions. But at the same time, we don't need to absorb that energy or those issues. When that person leaves, we have the right to say, disconnect, gone, that's no longer my issue. And this is really, really difficult. And it's sort of like, I've been in this industry over 40 years, and I can assure you I'm not perfect. And recently I went back and did a course with somebody that's very, very well known in the world, just purely because I wanted to. And it was amazing to sort of see one of the number one things that I learnt 40 odd years ago was about protection. Was about really every time you go to do some sort of psychic work, or even listening to your best friend on the phone that's having a marital issue, we should put up our forms of protection so that we're not absorbing someone else's negative energy for that, their stuff. And it was one of the things that you think, yeah, I do that. But then you realise that you get out of the habit of doing it daily. And that was a really good lesson for me, because it was like, okay, that's a really important thing. I teach my students that, but I don't actually do what I teach other people to do. So this is what you need to be doing. Find a way of something that you feel that you can do sort of quickly. I'm one of these people, I don't have an hour to sit down and meditate. That's always been something to me that I looked at that and I thought, that's a waste of time. If I can't do it in 30 seconds or a minute, then I've got too many other things to do in my life. And it was interesting out of this course that they sort of shared with us that there was many different ways that you could do your protection, do your meditation, and do it all very quickly. And one of those was lighting a candle. And I work a lot with candles. So it was interesting that you can light the candle and just tune into the flame of the candle, but at the same time saying the words that you feel comfortable with in asking for protection. Now, there's many different versions of what people see as the right way to do a protection. I'm one of these people, I say, do what feels right for you. The most common way that people look at protecting themselves is with a white light. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. For me, I like to go with gold. I always have. I don't know where it came from. It's just as long as I can remember, I've always used some form of gold as my protection. And I've always done it in a way that I'd shut my eyes for a couple of seconds. Imagine I was standing under a gold shower of rain and all the droplets of golden water were going all over my body, and I was encased in that, and I was then protected. Now, some people like to bring a prayer in at this stage, and that's, again, a very personal thing. It's whatever feels comfortable for you. So you need to be able to get into a routine where that you could be out and you could be out having, say, coffee with a friend, and all of a sudden you feel your energy being drained and you think, hang on a minute, I've got a busy day. I don't need them vampiring or draining my energy. So you quickly sort of shut your eyes for, 5 seconds and put yourself back into that protection and just boost it up, ramp it up. And then you'll find then that helps you not be so drained. And, it's a really hard thing because we do tend, we're taught so many different things growing up as children that we've got to be kind to other people and we've got to help other people and we've got to be considerate of them. But nobody really tells us to be kind, considerate and look after ourselves. We're taught that that's selfish. But as I've got older, I've realised that's not being selfish. That's called looking after self. And if we don't look after self, who else is going to do it? And if we don't look after ourselves, we can't help anyone else. So I think you're on the right track. No matter which way you want to use your gifts is a very personal thing. People sort of say to me, which direction should I go in my psychic development? And I always say to people, whatever you're drawn to. Don't just take up tarot because it's convenient and it's on a Tuesday night and you've got nothing on Tuesday nights. If you're not interested in it, don't use that as your tool. We all have very, very varied tools that we might use in our toolkit. Professionally, I've stuck with tarot and astrology over the last 40 years and candles. But yes, I have lots of other tools in my toolkit that I might use personally. So it's a matter of, I think, really looking after you. So I hope that's been of help.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Nothing else I can help you with tonight?
If there's any guidance that you feel.
The only thing that they really showed you was that there was a lot of endings and changes and transformations coming up around you, and that's been happening since March. I think between March and September this year, you will go through a lot of shifts of energy. So there'll be pockets there where your energy is really high, and there'll be pockets where your energy feels like I'm really dragging myself through the day. When you're at those low points, I want you to sit down, do nothing, watch a movie, give yourself the permission to sort of do nothing or do as little as possible. This is a major shift in your energy. So once we hit September, I think then things will move very, very quickly. There's a new job on the horizon, but I don't think it's this year. I'm looking more towards next year, but certainly lots of changes coming up for you. So have a great year. Lovely to talk with you tonight.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. And we're going to go to Karen in New Hampshire. Hello, Karen. Are you there?
Good. How are you?
Karen, how can I help you, sweetie?
Just looking for a little bit of a direction.
Okay, Karen. The first thing that they're showing me is it's like you've been on a very long, windy road, and you sort of feel like it's your turn for the road to sort of straighten up and sort of expand out and say, right, this is exactly what Karen should be doing. I don't know that that's going to be the case just yet, Karen. I feel that there's still some emotion that's just sort of sitting or hovering underneath the surface that it's almost like you're too frightened to let go of. What's that in connection to? Is that connection to a previous romance?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I want to give you a big cuddle and say, Karen, it's okay. It's okay to let it go. You know, you don't need to hang on to that anymore. It's not yours anymore. Just release it. Sometimes it's hard for us as human beings to sort of understand that we can let go of emotions like that we're not going to break, we're not going to fall apart if we do. And even if we do have some tears or a couple of sad days, it's okay. It's part of the healing process. But I just sort of feel with that, it was like you never got answers. It was like there were so many question marks around the ending of that relationship.
Kinda. It's not really. It's more like my past relationship family.
Yeah, but they were showing me 3 question marks. So to me, there was 3 major areas of connection with that hadn't been answered or that I didn't have proper closure to.
Okay.
And it's like we need to identify what they are. And even if you identify them and you're not ready to let them go, I mean, you know, people let go in all different ways. I always say to people, you know, do what feels natural to you. I'm a big one for writing it out, ripping it up and flushing it down the loo or burning it and saying, that's it, it's gone. Some people like to, you know, put a voice recording on their phone and then delete it and say it's gone. It's a very personal thing. But this is what's sort of holding you back at the moment from your life sort of broadening out. And I don't want to see you sort of sitting in this stagnant position for much longer, Karen. When you're ready, you're itching to go forward. We need to be able to sort of crank that up a little bit. Has there been a recent move of residence, like in the last 12 months?
Yes.
With that, did you sort of feel as if a lot had been removed off your shoulders by doing that?
Yes.
That's good. But did you also sort of feel as if I'm wandering around in limbo too? Like I thought once I moved I'd get all these great epiphany moments and nothing happened?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but don't be annoyed with yourself. You're exactly right where you're meant to be. I sort of feel that this is a random thing I'm going to suggest to you, but I want you to get a notepad and I want you to just start writing anything that comes into your head. I think we need to start sort of, not so much journaling, but getting stuff out. I think you're very good at holding on to everything, like as if your life's going to end if I don't hold on to it really tight. I just want to see, even if something stupid comes into your head, write it down because I think this is going to be the process of helping you let go. And I feel through by doing this, by putting pen to paper or typing it into your computer, you'll actually then start to find we're going to start to get some direction again. We're going to start to get some things interfering in this, what seems silly nonsense that we're writing down. All of a sudden, we're going to start to get everything flowing again. And that's good, because I do feel by June, and we're only, days away from June starting, we're starting to rev everything up again. There's the potential here of a new job coming up. I don't know whether it's with the current job that you're with now, that they're offering you something new, but it's like you really do need to think about that, because I'm not sure if it's with the same company. I'm not sure that it's really going to give you what you're looking for. I would be more inclined to say from about October, I think that you'll actually be seriously looking to change companies. And that to me feels the better move. But the remainder of this year is going to be very busy. Once we start to get things coming into your mind, the ideas are going to come thick and fast. And I mean really thick and fast. So it's been important that you've had this little bit of time to rest, because if you hadn't rested, I don't think you would have been able to be ready to go with the changes that are coming. So is there someone significant in your life at the moment?
Yes.
Are we looking to take that to the next level? Is there sort of like a leap forward of faith with this now? Like we're ready to gear this up a notch or two?
Yeah.
Good, because I feel very excited about that. Very different from anybody you've attracted in the past, but a really good match, I feel. The two of you are allowing each other to grow together, and that's a positive. But I do feel that there's many more exciting things that are coming into your life, but particularly between June and September. So you need to make sure you don't ever go out without a notepad and pen in your bag so that you can jot your ideas down. Anyway, Karen, it's been absolutely wonderful working with you tonight, and I wish you well with the projects and your inspiration that's coming up for the future. So I'd like to take this opportunity once again to sort of ask everybody to please keep Manchester in their prayers and in their positive thought waves, that we send out some unconditional love right around this globe this week, because it really, really is important that we honour the people that have lost, the children that have lost their lives in this terrible, terrible tragedy. I look forward to working with you again next week on A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV. And next week we'll have our card of the week, plus the final part of our 4-part series with the moon, and we'll also check out what's happening in the universe. So until next week, be kind to each other and have a great week. See you then.